Well, hey guys, I'm Abby Johnson, and I'm so looking forward to reflecting on God's Word with you. Now, that said, reading 2 Kings 9 and 10 wouldn't be what I classify as light reading. It's the total expulsion of the idolatrous Baal worship from the nation of Israel. And as we read, literally no one involved in this adulterous cult worship is left remaining from the hand of Jehu, the new king established to carry out the Lord's judgment against Ahab and Jezebel, the propagators of Baalism and all their followers. Now, it's clear that Jehu, from the very beginning, he has one job, and that's to rid the nation of this terrible sin, causing immense separation from Yahweh, the God of Israel. And Jehu does so unsparingly. I think that's putting it lightly. But I even love how it describes that he not only demolishes the temple of Baal, but he actually turned it into a latrine, a toilet, if you will, to demonstrate the utter refuse this is before the Lord. As a side note, as you're reading this, can you just imagine if this story were turned into a major motion picture? I'm not so sure that I'd be overly tempted to watch that kind of movie. But if we can leave with any takeaway from Jehu's story, it should be the amount of separatism God calls his followers to. When God issued the command to have no other gods before him, this wasn't merely a suggestion. Our God is a jealous God, as Exodus 20 reminds us. He wants all and deserves all of our hearts. Now, it seems as if Jehu is successful in his mission. He has carried out everything the prophets Elijah and Elisha have both prophesied, and God promises him 4 generations of kings upon the throne of Israel for his obedience. Seems as if all is well in the world, no? And yet, we read one of the most troubling verses within Jehu's story. It's 2 Kings 10:28 through 29. It says, "So Jehu destroyed Baal worship in Israel. However, he did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, which he had caused Israel to commit, the worship of the golden calves at Bethel and Dan." Now, wait a second. Didn't he just decimate the pagan religion of Baalism on behalf of Yahweh, the one true God? Did we just read that verse accurately? Now he's at the very least allowing worship of golden calves? Well, let's keep reading. 2 Kings 10:31. It says, "Yet Jehu was not careful to keep the law of the Lord, the God of Israel, with all his heart. He did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, which he had caused Israel to commit." How could Jehu, after carrying out the Lord's justice to the house of Ahab, not continue in God's decree to worship Yahweh and serve him only? Isn't that troubling to you? How does Jehu justify obliterating one form of idolatry but accept the other? Do you think he thought that he was safe because he had been used of God so prominently that he failed to guard against the insidious nature of idolatry in general? Just because he's gained victory over one form does not mean that he's safe from the others. And this reminds me of 1 Corinthians chapter 10, where Paul warns the Corinthians through Israel's checkered past. He instructs them in verses 6 and 7. He says, "Now these things occurred as examples to keep us from setting our hearts on evil things, just as they did." And don't miss this. "Do not be idolaters, as some of them were." Now, I don't know all the examples that Paul had in his mind, as there are just way too many references to notate for our learning from Israel's past. But it's almost as if he could have had Jehu in mind when he continued in his instruction to the Corinthians in verse 12. It says, "So if you think you are standing firm, be careful that you don't fall." Do you think perhaps Jehu thought that he was standing firm against idolatry because he was used by God to decimate Baal worship? I mean, he was obedient after all. And because of his obedience in one form of getting rid of idolatry, do you think that he was unsuspecting towards other forms, weaseling its way in and permeating Israel once again? Now, honestly, it seems pretty straightforward to me. I mean, he just was used in a really radical way. But yet he somehow missed the point of this radical, righteous brigade that God had called him to lead. And in my own reflection, I wonder, where too am I standing so firm in one area that I might be slipping in others? I think Jehu's story presents the perfect opportunity to allow the Holy Spirit to evaluate this very thing in our hearts. While we may not turn towards an idol crafted in the likeness of a cow, where are we turning away from the Lord for alternative forms of security, satisfaction, and significance? Finding those things outside of God are just as much of an idol. And so today, let's afford the Holy Spirit a moment to sift through our hearts to reveal what may be cropping up unbeknownst to us without his illumination. Unlike Jehu, just because I'm standing firm in one form of protecting my heart against cultural idolatry, I don't want my feet to slip in another form, because that's the insidious nature of idolatry. It wants to weasel its way in. Just because my heart may be healed of finding satisfaction apart from God in one area doesn't necessarily mean that my heart is protected against other ways that the enemy might want to sneak into my heart and separate me from having a heart that is fully devoted to God. I really love this chapter, or these couple of chapters, as crazy as they kind of were, and I really hope that this helped you to dig into God's Word in a greater way, and I look forward to seeing you next time.